Well, guys, here we are, another day and another bit of information about the C8 Corvette and the Z06 that greatly affects all of us. And that is something that GM decided to do. They stepped in and said no more market adjustments to the dealerships. Let's talk about this one. All right, guys, so like you heard there in the beginning, GM has stepped in and told the dealerships no more dealer markups on these cars. Now, that is fantastic, but it comes with a little bit of a caveat because this is not the first time that GM has stepped in and said this. So the very first time they did this was almost a year ago, and nothing has really seemed to change. Now, initially, GM actually threatened allocations against the people who were marking up these cars to the point where the average customer couldn't afford them. But so far, we haven't seen anything taking place. Now, GM has spoke up again and said, listen, no more dealer markups on these cars. You guys are literally violating the agreements with Chevy. But the more this happens, the more likely it is that we, as the consumers, are going to win. Let's talk about why. Real quick, guys, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is again going to be the guys over at Hyperion. They have recently redesigned the key fob security case once again, and now it is just a pop top. So you just open it up like this, and there's magnets up there that will actually snap it closed and keep your key protected. Now, the reason for a case like this is automotive theft. The signal that travels from the key to your car can actually be stolen, and then they can use that later to get into your car and steal it. Now, inside of this case, you can actually put your key right in there, close up the top, and now that signal is interrupted and it cannot be stolen. So this would be best at night, sitting beside your nightstand with your key in it, so no one could ever possibly do this to you. A lot of you out there are probably thinking that doesn't sound like it's overly real, but one of my subscribers recently reached out to me and had a car stolen in California. It was a Mercedes, and this would have actually prevented that particular theft from happening. And even if you're not looking for security, this is a good way to store a key inside of your car without your car knowing that it's there. Now, the best part is, guys, you can save 35% and get free shipping on this just by checking out the link down below and for being a horsepower obsessed fan. So as usual, guys, the information that we're talking about today comes from our friends at the CorvetteBlogger.com and the MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. The article at the Corvette Blogger starts out by saying, shots fired. GM North American President Steve Carlisle warns dealers against market adjustments on the Z06. Now, like I said, guys, this is not the first time GM has done this, but it obviously is the first time they've done it with the C8 Corvette Z06. So we're going to see what's going to happen here, because I know of at least 10 different dealerships that are charging $50K over MSRP, and I know of one that's charging $200,000 over MSRP. Yes, $200,000 over MSRP. So the price of the car is on top of that $200,000 markup, which is absolutely insane. But they tell me that there is actually a couple people that are going to be doing it. They're on the list to buy. So if this is true and GM is really going to come down on those dealerships that are doing the dealer markups like that, the one charging $200,000 over is literally going to be left with zero allocations. The Corvette Blogger article goes on to say that the C8 Corvette Stingray is in its third model year and demand is showing no sign of dropping off. Now, with the highly anticipated 2023 Corvette Z06 right around the corner, we've become very concerned about how some dealerships are looking at the new American sports car as a cash cow, with plans to generate as much profit as possible above and beyond the Corvette's manufacturer's suggested retail pricing, or the MSRP, at the expense of the Corvette buyers. The third paragraph of the Corvette Blogger's article goes on to say that we have already heard about Chevy's new plan for allocations, and it's still something we'll have to wait and see if by moving to an average daily supply model will nudge dealers to stay with pricing the cars at MSRP. Not waiting around is GM's North American President Steve Carlisle, who fired this recent warning shot by telling dealers straight up that they risk having their vehicle allocation redirected to other dealers who aren't being bad actors in the new car sale process. Now, all of that is to say, basically, if you are caught by GM selling one of these cars over MSRP, you will literally lose allocations. Now, it doesn't go into great detail as to how many allocations per how many cars sold over MSRP, but there's a couple different layers to dive into here, because even though I'm going to read you the official verbiage here very soon from Steve Carlisle, there are things that are left very ambiguous. So the biggest one for me is, yes, you can possibly get this car allocation at MSRP at all dealerships. As of right now, I know a couple of them off the top of my head that will give you a C8 Corvette allocation at MSRP, but you're going to be waiting close to a year to get the car. The second part of this is, what about the dealerships that have obtained these cars from the auctions and trade-ins and things like that? They're charging over MSRP just for the convenience of not having to wait for an allocation. Are those cars still going to fall under this same kind of category? Like I said, this doesn't really answer all of the questions, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So the letter from Steve Carlisle is pretty long. I'm going to go ahead and put it up here on the screen for you guys to see, just because I don't want to read all of this. It's kind of redundant. But the letter starts out by saying, "Dear GM dealership team, we are all very excited about the recent GM news and product launches, including the Chevrolet Corvette Z06, Chevrolet Silverado, etc., etc., etc. At the same time, we have been working hard to meet customer demand in a time of constrained supply of inventory due to the global industry-wide semiconductor shortage. Unfortunately, it has come to our attention that in connection with some of these announcements and launches, a small number of dealerships have engaged in practices that do not support a positive sales experience for our customers." It goes on to say that it has come to our attention that some of the dealerships have attempted to demand money above and beyond the reservation amounts set in GM's program rules, and or have requested customers to pay sums far in excess of MSRP in order to purchase or lease a vehicle. I'm sure you guys have all seen this in operation. I know I have. There are C8s being sold out there for 120,000 plus. But again, this sounds like it's only for allocations, not specifically cars being resold at the dealership. The big important part from Steve Carlisle comes right here. It says, "First, I want to remind you that GM dealers are obligated to ethically and lawfully sell GM products as stated in Article 5 of the Dealer Sales and Service Agreement. Dealer agrees to effectively, ethically, and lawfully sell and promote the purchase, lease, and use of products by consumers. Dealers agree to advertise and conduct promotional activities that are lawful and enhance the reputation of the dealer, General Motors, and its products. Dealer will not advertise or conduct promotional activities in a misleading or unethical manner, or that is harmful to the reputation of the dealer, General Motors, or its products." Ultimately, it ends with saying GM will be forced to take action if it learns of any unethical sales practices or brokering activities that undermine the integrity that customers expect from the Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac brands. For the small minority of bad actors that are engaging in the conduct identified above, this letter serves as a notice that GM reserves the right to redirect your vehicle allocation or take other recourse prescribed by the Dealer Sales and Service Agreement. So again, guys, that sounds promising and it sounds like it is a step in the right direction, but I feel like there are a couple things left out of there that are specifically going to be questions later. And like I said, one of them is, how do they go about selling a car that has been traded in or purchased from an auction? Is that okay to charge over MSRP at that point? I'm assuming it probably is. I think that will be up to that specific dealership as to how much they want to charge. But for the allocations, those are going to have to be at MSRP. And they really should start to kind of govern the fact that these are first come, first serve, and that there's no bidding action or anything crazy like that to get in on a Z06 or in the future a ZR1. I know all of you guys out there have seen the price gouging on the C8 Corvettes in general. The Z06 is going to take it to another level because the production of the Z06 is already going to be a lower percentage than the base C8. And the base C8 is already showing us that it is absolutely crazy when it comes to dealer markups for allocations. So if the Z06 is worse, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Like I said, guys, this is a step in the right direction. I hope that GM really starts to enforce this just so everybody can get their cars at MSRP. Nothing annoys me more than having to pay more for something just because it's in high demand. I know it's the whole supply and demand thing of the entire economy, but in this case, you should be able to get an allocation for a car. Even if it's a later car, you should be able to get it at MSRP. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. So if you liked what you saw, please smash that thumbs up button. Let me know you're liking the content so we can continue to create these kind of news stories for you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Are you glad that Steve Carlisle has stepped in and done this? Are you hoping that this time it actually leads to something? Like I said, Chevy did do this in the past and it didn't really seem to change anything because none of the dealers that were charging over MSRP stopped doing so. This does sound a little more official this time, so I'm thinking it may lead to something, but let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm going to have loads of content like this coming you're not going to want to miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.